Yo, why is this show so daggone funny? Like, the writers of this show are so bomb, and the actors make it even better, y'all. I love the show so much. But welcome back, y'all, to AAB TV, better known as Authentically RGB TV, and we are back. Yes, we are back for another Abbott Elementary season 2 recap. I just got through watching this show, and the last scene still has to be cracking up because I knew something was up. But if you're new here, welcome, welcome, welcome. But let's not keep y'all waiting any longer. Let's get into this video. All right, y'all. So the show opens up as usual with the teachers in the lounge. Melissa done brought some donuts in, and she's doing these horrible impressions and trying to get these people to eat these donuts. And the gag is everybody knows that she's horrible at impressions, but just nobody has ever told her. And I mean, she's putting so much energy and effort into getting these people to eat these donuts, and they just looking at her like, girl, just cut it out, just stop. So finally, Jacob has had enough, and he goes up for his turn to go get a donut, and he just blurts it out, and everybody's like, oop, well, at least he said it. It's the truth. And right after that, we go into Jacob's classroom. Barbara is in there talking to his class about this fundraiser that they're doing to raise money to go to a science museum. Now, we all know back in the 90s, for me, fundraising was everything. School-wide fundraisers. We used to get those packets. We used to be passing it out to our grannies, aunties, uncles, my mama's co-workers, like church members. I don't care if you was even in the Girl Scouts. Even now, somebody just tagged me in a post on Facebook to get some Girl Scout cookies, which I have not bought in years. But fundraising used to be the thing. I remember, if you have a mini USO out there, little booklet, them big prizes is what it was. It wasn't no class prize to no field trip. Well, actually, I take it back. My 5th grade field trip, we sold donuts, and I sold the most donuts in my 5th grade class. Give it up for me. Give it up for me. Because where do we go? Huntsville, Alabama. To do what? The Space Museum, the NASA, y'all know what I'm talking about. But anyway, so yeah, fundraising used to be the thing to do, and you used to get called down to the auditorium to get your bag full of your stuff, or you tell the people to give you the money and write it down, you know what I'm saying, in them little slots. They put their little check numbers and card numbers and all of that in there, and then they get their stuff mailed to them, y'all. But back, like I said, back in the 90s, I don't know too much about fundraising now, but back then, that was the thing. So that's what they're doing. And Barbara is basically leading this particular fundraiser, like I said, to sell candy, chocolate bars. Y'all know how they do for $1. And they're, she's telling them, giving them tips and tricks on how to sell, what to say, how to thank people, how to kind of coerce people into buying them. And like, she wants it to be very like a big have good character while doing this, have some integrity while doing this, like I said, to so they can be, feel good about serving and raising money for the class. And so right after that, we see that Janine's class is outside selling candy to basically people in the neighborhood, which I was just like, we never did that, especially during school hours, but things is different, and this is TV. So she had her class out there, and all of a sudden we see this familiar person walk up, y'all. And I was like, he looks familiar. Who is this guy? Y'all, it's the Maurice. Y'all remember Maurice from the club? Greg's friend that he didn't want her talking to because he knew, like, basically he just wasn't the relationship type of guy and didn't want him trying to talk to her and waste her time. And so we like, I'm like, what? Is this another impromptu meetup? No, he came through he like shoot off a kid, basically like, nah, I don't want to buy no candy bar. And when he found out it was Janine's class that was actually out there selling the candy bars, he decides to try to show out and buy a few, and that just made her day. Then he proceeds to ask her to go out to eat with him, and he's like, we can do it public without kids, but private without kids, and we can do it public, whatever you want to do. So they decided to meet up at a restaurant, right? So I'm just like, I wonder what Greg gonna say about this. How he gonna feel about it, So then we cut to Mr. Johnson and Jacob. They done found this cat in the custodian's office, and they basically take it upon themselves to care for it, right? So I'm just like, oh my goodness, let's see how this is gonna go. So basically, they done got a whole custody agreement. They done sitting there going back and forth over this daggone cat and acting like a married couple that can't agree on how to take care of their kids. Like, they had me rolling this entire episode. It comes to Ava because he's basically getting roasted about his high water pants, and Ava being Ava, she throws in a couple of jabs at the child. But she also has some extra pants for him to wear. So she gives it to him, and she sees that he has the box, and she's like, you know what? How's your sales pitch going? Let me hear how you're approaching people to sell this candy or whatever, because y'all going on this trip. He tells her, she basically flat out and tells him, what, it's whack. I can help you with this, right? And so she takes it upon herself to take some kids under her wing to teach them, the ins and outs of selling this particular product. And come to find out, when some of the teachers are meeting to discuss the goal, they see, they ain't really moved too far. And once they see Ava with an empty box, she's like, bragging like, hey, I done took this kid, I done showed him the ropes, and I'm selling out fast. And so some other teachers is looking at Barbara like, you might want to join forces with her if you're trying to go to this field trip, trying to go to this science museum, trying to meet your goal. Like, she's the one. And Barbara's like, nah, I don't want to. I really don't need her help. I want to do it my way. But then they convince her to do it, and they agree to co-lead, basically, to meet this goal and take these kids on a field trip. So, like I said, Barbara really wasn't feeling it, but if it's working, it's working, right? And the main goal is to go on the field trip. So as the school days go by, Barbara introduces Ava to the kids as another leader in this fundraiser. And Ava continues to just basically show all the kids her unconventional ways. And Barbara is like taken aback by every single one of them, because she's like, hey, I don't want them to scam. I don't want them to, do things out of the ordinary. I don't want them to lie in order to raise money. Like, that's not what this is about. That's not what I'm trying to teach them. But Ava's like, if it's working, it's working. So I don't know why you tripping. So she tells her, like, basically, I don't want them to continue this way. Like, I want them to do it right. And that's what I mean. We all know Barbara puts her foot down. That is that. But Ava's just like, basically like, bro, I don't know why you're tripping, because we're getting the money. Ain't this what you want to do? And Barbara's kind of still like not feeling it, but she also, like I said, is getting the money, so she really ain't saying too much. So later on in the day, Janine's walking in the hallway, and she bumps into Greg after he gets out of the podcast club, and tells him, basically, I saw Maurice and he asked me on a date. And he's like, wait, what? He asked you on a date? And you can tell from right then and there, he's shocked. He seems a little like perturbed a little bit. Also like annoyed at the fact that his friend basically went against what he told him to do and hollered at Janine, and that Janine is really feeling him. And he makes some comments that has Janine kind of questioning him, like, well, if he's not such a good guy, or if I shouldn't take him serious, like, why are you even his friend? If he's not a good person, why are you hanging out with him? And he basically tries to tell her, like, Well, being in a relationship with him and being friends with him is totally different, and we both know that. And he just basically said, if it doesn't work out between y'all two, because I know both of you all, and because I work with you, I don't want it to be, bad blood on my end. And she's like, oh no, I get it. And he's like, all right, and they both just walk off, and you could tell it's kind of like some hateration up in the dancery, yo. And I was just like, he's jealous. Back to the fundraiser. They get all the money, y'all. They got the money a day before the goal was set to get it, and they're excited about it. And Ava's just on a roll, and she's just like, you know what? Let's keep it going. Let's keep the momentum going. And Barbara's like, for what? We already got it. And she's like, no, let's just keep the momentum going. So they decide to take the kids to the mall to gain more money for this fundraiser, right? So while they're coming up with all of that stuff, we go back to Mr. Johnson and Jacob. And again, they're still going back and forth bickering about how to take care of this daggone cat. And y'all come to find out the cat freaking belongs to a 4th grader who done bought the cat to show and tell and lost the cat. And now they all sad and in shambles because they got to get rid of their baby. And they was really like going through it. I mean, Melissa had to be like a mediator between the two because of all the tension, and was trying to make, like I said, custody arrangements for this cat because they was that into taking care of cats. And little known fact about me, I do not like cats. I'm terrified of cats, y'all. If I seen a cat in my school, trust and believe it's the cat school. I'm done. In the classroom, it's the cat's classroom. I don't know why. Just me and cats have never rocked like that. So, back to the mall. Barb runs into, I think, a lady. I don't remember her name, but I remember her face. And she's from season 1. And Barbara basically like called her out or exposed her about stealing from the church. From her church or whatever. That's how they kind of have like little beef, little words whenever they see each other. And so she's, the lady's real like snooty and stuck up. And she's basically saying like, it would be Abbott Elementary kids looking basically, she didn't say this, but basically trying to say these ghetto kids up here at this mall trying to raise money or whatever. And Barbara's looking at her like, honey, who? Well, if we didn't get basically the leftovers from the district, then maybe we wouldn't have to be up in her fundraising, ma'am. And she's ready to get with her. And then a little boy comes up and is like, would you like to buy a candy bar for $1? And the lady's looking at the little boy like, hold up. This little boy back here, Henry, the one that was in Ava's office with the high waters, told me that this candy bar was $2, and that's what I got. I bought one candy bar for $2. And Ava's like, well, you're sadly mistaken because they're only $1. And so she calls the little boy over there, and he's like, yeah, I charged her $2 for one candy bar. And she's like, where would you even get this idea from? And so now she's all humiliated and embarrassed because, she's trying to, put on in front of this lady, and this lady's looking at her sideways like, what's going on with your kids? Like, what y'all on? And so, she tells Henry to give the lady her $1 back, and the lady says something smart and walks off. And we all know Barbara does not like to be played. She does not like to be humiliated. She felt a certain type of way, and she was just like, she looks over, she sees Ava doing some type of marketing with the kids dancing and all this other stuff. So she's just like, basically Rita, like, she's just like, I can't believe that you would tell them to scam. I can't believe you would tell them to lie about how much these candy bars cost just to have a profit, basically. And Ava was just like, I just don't even believe that I agreed to work with you. I never wanted to work with you because I knew you was basically full of crap, basically. And so again, they see each other in Teacher's Lounge the same time that Melissa's trying to be the mediator for Jacob and Mr. Johnson, and they don't have no words. And so after Melissa deals with, the guys and the cat, we see Ava walk into Barbara's classroom like, basically, look, If you got something to say, go ahead and say it, honey. And she basically tells her she doesn't appreciate the fact that she came at her sideways about upcharging the candy bars, and what she was doing was trying to help the little boy Henry to have some money in his pocket, because he doesn't have it. His family don't got it. I guess they're poor, impoverished, and he's always getting clowned for his clothes or his shoes, and she wants him to be able to raise the money, but also, get like a little commission. So put some money in his pocket so that he can get his own things and be able to take care of himself like she had to do. And she's basically like, I was once that kid. I had to get it by any means. And if you don't like it, oh well, because look what they got me. I'm just trying to help in my own way. And so Barbara was kind of like, but she also had that look like she understood what she was saying. And so, Barbara ends up going to the little boy, and she apologizes for like reprimanding him in front of the lady at the mall, and offers him a chance to help her at the bake sale at our church. And he's like, yeah. And she was like, and you can even, take some money, off to the side, and they're negotiating how much he's gonna be able to take and all the other stuff. And Ava's kind of looking over, and she apologizes, and they both are good to go. So all is well with that. Now, during all of this, like I said, Greg felt the type of way about Janine going with his friend Maurice on a date. And while all this was going on in the teacher's lounge, Melissa, she was like doting over the fact that Janine got a date with her little boo, and they kept calling him Mo. They kept calling Maurice Mo, and you could just see like the about Greg, because he was just like, why are y'all calling him Mo? And he just like stormed out. But before he stormed out, he found out that he got in good with Janine by buying some candy. And he was like, well, I'll buy candy too. And everybody's like, you don't like candy. You don't like chocolate. You don't, he's like, it doesn't matter. I'll buy it. And so once Ava and Barbara reconcile, we see Greg and Jacob in the office, and Greg is, giving the candy away that he bought. He done bought a whole box. Y'all trying to get in good with Janine too, because his friend done did it. And he's trying to show his friend up. And so Greg is like, I'm very good at reading people's body language, and you seemed a little jealous. You seemed a little jealous earlier when we was talking about Janine's date with your friend Maurice. And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. And he's trying to walk out the office, and Greg is like, oh my gosh, you like Janine. You like Janine. And he's just like, no, I don't. Like, what? That's crazy. You like, what? No. And he hurry up and walk out, and Jacob's just like, And then Mr. Johnson, the whole time they didn't even realize he was right there talking about some, and the plot thickens. So yeah, I already knew that Greg was gonna be upset that Janine was talking to somebody else, because like I said, he wants her, he likes her, and she likes him too, but she's not about to just wait around for him to finally approach and not, live her life and have her little boo too. So kudos to you, Janine. And so after all of this, we don't see Greg and Jacob, finish their conversation, but we do see Greg walk into Janine's classroom and basically tells her, in his own kind of like apologetic way of saying, I didn't mean to come off like a hater earlier, but Maurice is a good guy. I hope you have fun, and I hope you enjoy yourself. And she was like, thank you. I knew if he was a good guy, he would be your friend, because if not, you wouldn't even be around him, because you're a good guy. And he kind of like smiles at that, and then that's that. And the episode ends with Maurice and Janine on their date. And a little joke in the show was, about the food that she was going to eat. And she was like, I don't want to seem too greedy. I don't want to seem, like a hungry hippo out here. So I think I'm gonna get the ribs. And everybody was like, the ribs, girl, what? And even Greg told her when he was leaving her classroom, like, don't get the ribs. I see how you are when you eat those. Like, that's not a good look for a first date. Like, but at the same time, you know, people should be able to enjoy their own food the way that they want to. But the fact of the matter that was so funny was that Maurice was sitting up there sharing his little life story, I guess. And, you know, on some more serious stuff, talk about his mama passed away and he had to learn this and learn that. And all we see this whole time is the back of Janine's head. And once the camera cuts to her face, she has this big, huge rib that she is like going to town on. She got barbecue sauce all over her face. She's talking with food in her mouth. She's talking, you know, while she's biting on the rib, and he's, you know, trying to give her a napkin. She's like, no, I'm not done yet. I don't need that. And she's just like, yeah, and he's like, you know, I've never had anybody sit here and listen to me like that. And I'm glad I can open up to you. And she's sitting there like, yeah, with all this sauce on her face. It was so funny. It was just funny to me, y'all. I was just like, oh my gosh, this show is so funny. But I really enjoyed this episode as always. And, I think I covered everything. Did I cover everything, y'all? I hope I did. It's late and I'm sleepy. I appreciate you guys for always watching and commenting and liking. I hope that you guys will continue to watch. And let's also give it up because Abbott Elementary has been renewed for season 3. So they will be back. I'm so excited. And you all, I have a special announcement. I will be reviewing season 6 of Snowfall. I love that show. I've been watching that show since day one. That show is amazing. The writing is amazing. The actors are amazing. And it's the last season, y'all. And I should have been reviewing this, but I wasn't even in my recap review bag like I should have been. And I like reviewing shows. I really do. And I know that a lot of people get on YouTube and they like watching reviews as well. And I like to see how other people are thinking and where their minds are, you know, different discussions that, you know, people have when it comes to shows and how they interpret them and feel about them and all that stuff. So I decided that I'm going to be reviewing the last season of Snowfall, and that begins in February in a couple of weeks. So yeah, so if y'all watch that show or y'all know anybody that has been watching that show or wants to start watching it, tell them, as I say all the time, tell a friend and tell a friend about us over here at AABTV, because I'm going to be reviewing it. And Damson Idris is one of my favorite actors. Gail Bean, one of my favorite actors. I love that show. Well, she's an actress. And I just love that show. And it's so fire. So I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll see you all next time. Peace.